right, thank you so much for being there. Welcome back. My good name is Ban Sanko. If you missed the first conversation, you can find the link. We're streaming live on X at Y254 channel. Personally, my handle is Brian Sanko 101. In this last conversation of today, since it's about Eid, we're talking about survival tactics everywhere across the world, but we can narrow it down to different places. So far so good, because during the hustle and the bustle sometimes, especially when you're coming to the city, have you ever heard that song called Karibu Kanairo, Karibu Kenya, you know? And during our intro today in the morning, we were talking about being scammed, and I believe everyone, at least if you've never been scammed, you've had somebody who's been scammed, a friend, either directly or indirectly. But then this requires you to develop skills that can help you survive, because the character development that's out here in the streets, my friend. But you know what? Being street smart, book smart, and all those skills, I believe they're required to navigate through life. And of course, the best thing is survival, and survival of the fittest. I saw a movie, it's called Survival of the Thickest, not Fittest, a creative one. Anyways, this is the conversation we're delving into, and I'm going to be engaging Stephen Ndemo Jr. He's a youth mentor and a public speaker alongside Mathew Samuel. He's a chairperson at NYEF, but it means National Something Youth for Entrepreneurs. So he'll tell us more about that as well. So let us know where you're watching us from. We are live on our X, but the question we're asking you again is, je, ni ujanja gani ukusaidia kumake ends meet hapa nje? So it's about survival and making income, okay? So let me jump on to my first guest who is seated next to me. That is Mathew Samuel. You were telling me, by the way, that, you know, no, I think it's Stephen who was telling me about there's pressure called Mocha. And just in the same breath, do you believe as well, before you actually find something that can create you income, you have to first of all go through a process where you're surviving Kwanzaa, before you find anything big, actually. And you know, Gen Z say they don't want to trust the process. They want the process to trust them. But while you're still trusting the process, you're going through experiences that are testing you. It's some sort of trying and testing time, so difficult times, yeah? And you realize all through that, you employed skills and tactics of survival. And at the end of the day, when you make it, nobody remembers the things you actually had to go through before you made it there. What do you think?
So thank you very much, Mr. Brian, first for having me here. And according to that, what I think is that it's not a must. It's not a must for you to suffer so that you can make it. Yeah, sometimes you can make it without without suffering.
The long route.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, without using the wrong path, like the long path. But at the same time, it's good for you if you have to, if the process is already there, or if you have to follow the process, it's always good to be patient and trust the process, because the moment you follow the process, that's what gives you the foundation, actually, so that it can intrude proper discipline into you for the long run. The more so after you have accomplished or you have become successful, you can make sure that you sustain each and everything that you got, because you understand the pain that costed you to get where you are. But at the same time, what I can hold on is that it's not a must for you to suffer so that you can make it. There's no joy in suffering, actually. Okay. There's no joy in suffering.
Yeah. In fact, this morning I was reading somewhere that's saying the money you're given without working for it, you easily lose it because you don't know the pain of gaining that money.
Sure,
when I relate it to your statement, it's a bit contradictory. So, or maybe it's all about the discipline that a person has before they start using and managing resources. It comes from a place of maybe wisdom.
Not necessarily, because wisdom comes with the experience. Yeah, because the more you experience a different thing, the more you have discipline in some things. That's what gives you now the wisdom to handle each and everything in your life. But what I'm trying to say is that even if you give someone 2 million today, but this person doesn't understand the pain that costed for someone to get that money so that they can be given, they will not be able to sustain each and everything with the same money.
Right.
What I can just try to hold on as I started is that the process, if you understand the process that costed you to get where you are, maybe what we call the pain, the sleepless nights, the struggles, ulienda, you are scammed somewhere, you stood up again, you fall many times, you stand up again, and you make sure that you reach where you are. This person will not be the same with the person that was born, got the resources are there, the business is already set there, everything is just running normal. This person will have different mentality, different ideas, even innovative skills, just to make sure that they sustain whatever they have, because they understand each and every pain in their pain.
The discipline, actually. But then, Stephen, let me throw it to you. He's talked about the discipline, staying in the process, surviving, managing resources. But sometimes when you're found on the wrong side of life, maybe you come from a place where a family, let's say for that matter, there's no inadequate resources. So you had to go through some 2-3 things. But then life is never fair, like they say. I believe life is fair. You know, people believe in karma. There's that, you know, part where the good things come to you as well as bad things. They happen for you and to you for your good and your bad, because it's balance of nature. Yeah? So you're going through the hardest of the hardest. For example, let's say real life, being broke here, which I believe a lot of young say youth are going through instances where they don't have money to sustain their lives. Some of them end up, you know, in drugs and alcohol. Others end up even in joining gangs. I think we've even seen it in the news headlines as well. So maybe if a person is trying to make it through life, beating the odds of being broke, how can they employ skills that can make them get through life without, you know, succumbing to the pressures of let me scam somebody like, you know, Rish Kamunge. We can say she took a shortcut, you know, because if people are coming out to say they've been scammed, it means that this person took a shortcut, and probably that was her survival tactic, but it's not ended well. You know, it's going to end badly for her.
Yeah, thank you, Brian Sako, for that insight, that case study, and even the context you've given on the topic that you're handling, that is the survival amidst the adversity. And you said about what can one do to survive the difficulties that are in between, or even make a formula that works for you. But I'll still connect from the points that we've had on the earlier points from my good friend here, Samuel, that one of the things that has made us be where we are is this aspect of trust the process. The truth is, the processes that you are meant to trust, most of them are disconnected. Most of them are systemic to make us be how we are today. Because here is case one person from an humble background is being told that trust the process, education is the key to life. This kid works hard up to class 8, works hard up to Form 4, is called to university, studies medicine, studies actuarial science, studies business management. Then after that, he has trusted the process, and the process was 844. He has reached the end of the process. Then comes to a society that has got a congested market. There are no opportunities. Those that are there is about who you know and not what you know. They end up becoming depressed. But what did they do? They trusted the process. So for me, I'm of the idea that it's high time we do away with this aspect of trusting the process. Let us challenge the process.
Let us challenge it.
If we are to survive, we really need to trust the process. We need to challenge the process.
Because I've heard Gen Z say, me, I don't want to trust the process, let the process trust me, so that I want to devise my own way out of it. And, and truly, there's those who end up making it, So I don't believe, do you believe a shortcut is a long cut in the long run? Because you might, for example, like this chick, Rish, who's scamming people, she's advertising she has jobs and whatnot, but then she's made a lot of money out of people in a dubious way.
I will not advocate for the use of shortcuts, or even what the youths wish to use the shortest route to destiny, because there is this concept we used to learn in high school under physics. It's called the hard magnetic materials and the soft magnetic materials. And the concept was the hard magnetic materials, they take long to magnetize, but once they magnetize, they can never lose their magnetism. And the soft magnetic materials, they magnetize quickly, but again, they lose their magnetism quickly. So if we apply it in the concept of survival and the context of making it in life, if you will make it in life so quickly, there's a higher probability that you will lose it so quickly, because it's not sustainable, and you never learned the art and the discipline that Samuel was speaking about. You only reached at a destination, but you never had the means. Therefore, for me, I advocate for the long way whereby let's use the right ways. There are so many right ways, right formal ways that we can use not only as the youths but as a society to make it. And if we can really use the right way to get the right gains, then the truth is we'll really have so much experience to even hand over to the next generation.
Still on you, Stephen, and I'd like you to sound off on the same. Let's narrow it down to single-handedly the life of an average city boy or a young man who is living in the city. A real example. Right now, the economy is economing, to those who say it, yeah. You're in the city, right now it's raining, the weather is really ugly, to say for that matter, because of the heavy rains here, and then you don't have money. But then maybe you're stuck between a rock and a hard place where the landlord is demanding you have to pay rent by 5th, yeah. You don't have any means of how to get this money that the landlord is requesting by that 5th. But then maybe for this other previous month, let's say because you're done with the first quarter of the month, of the year 2025 anyways, you've been surviving 2, 3 left, right and center, maybe borrowing from friends, a parent has been helping you, maybe you've just finished campus or in the middle of campus and you stay outside. So for an average, I'd say city boy, or boy child for that matter, how do they survive this difficult season, especially now?
I believe that true difficulties are there. They have been there, they are there in the present, and they'll be there in the future. But of the case study you've given, that youth right now watching us from the ghetto doesn't know what they'll have for lunch, doesn't know what they'll have for supper, doesn't even know how he'll pay the rent, as March is wrapping up today and we'll be crossing over to April. The first thing is that don't despair, don't make rash decisions, don't see that you are at the end of the world. Try to look of what are the relatable solutions from where you are. If the truth is you don't have it, there is a loophole that you can communicate to your landlord, to your agent, that truly things didn't work out for me for this month, and this is the reality. You said the guy has been paying the rest of the months, but now is in that difficult position. If then, from the option that this youth doesn't have hope that maybe even April will make sense, May will May for them, or June will June for them, they still have a chance to adjust whereby they can live within their means, because the means they are in the present, they can no longer sustain it. It's not a loss to quit and adjust to a place that you can easily survive without pressure.
Nice. Matthew? How do you even survive in that situation? Yeah. For example, maybe let me add in a little bit. You're fired on end of March, or maybe end of February, yeah. And now here you are. The rent is due. So how do you survive in this case?
It's good to be sincere with every situation that is there. Number one, we are talking on with the point that there's nowhere you're going to get the money currently. You don't have anything, there's no job. Maybe if you are being paid peanuts, there's no savings. Maybe you are the breadwinner, and now you are in this situation. The good thing is to be sincere and tell whoever is stressing you, whether it is your spouse or landlord or your debtors or those people that are owing you, you just tell them, like, this is my financial situation. That's number one. Number two, try to figure out which other way can you get the money. Yeah. I always tell people, or I always advise my younger brothers and sisters, your network is your net worth. Yeah? Social capital is the key. They always tell us education is the key to success, but I can assure you social capital is the key to your destiny.
Gen Z say they are introverts. They don't like talking. Hawapendi kutoka nje ya keza. They're just in the house.
They say they are
spending
introverts.
Time behind the computer.
True.
The mobile phone.
But they are the same people that are saying life is not fair.
And life is not fair, to be honest.
No, fair is just a word used by the weak who cannot defeat the strongest.
Oh, okay. Kwisha nyinyi.
Because when you are saying it's not fair, that's just a word used by the weak who cannot defeat the strongest. So
life is not supposed to be fair, it's supposed to be hard.
Yeah.
But you're the same person who just said here you don't have to suffer.
you know,
you
in
don't
that
have to
situation,
suffer to be successful.
True. I put it in two ways. Number one, it's not a must for you to suffer so that you can succeed.
Yeah, but you can
But
suffer.
at the same time,
You can suffer. You
suffering
will
is
suffer.
still there.
You will suffer
Because
or
the
you
moment
can
the moment you are born, you are suffering already. Yeah, with the
okay.
you are born with a debt.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Oh, for Kenya, for other
for Kenya. I'm talking about Kenya,
Okay,
and
sir.
we are in
Get
Nairobi.
you.
So you are born with suffering already. But at the same time, for you to achieve, it's not a must to suffer and all those things. If you can, you can meander around and get an opportunity whereby you can make, you can accumulate wealth for yourself at a shorter period. Well and good. Do it as long as it's an eligible way and it's legal means of you accumulating wealth. That's okay. So going back to where I was. So in that session, me, I always tell people, the moment you have that social capital, those people that you really, you know, in this at long run, maybe in your day-to-day activities, it's good maybe to create that environment whereby you have people by your side. Those people that you can tell them, I have an emergency of 10,000, I need to pay rent, I don't have food, and this and this and this. Those people that will come through for you. I trust they are there because I have been in that position.
You've been in that situation before.
Yes, and people came through for me.
That's amazing. That's incredible because not so many people. I think there was a meme I read somewhere that was saying, if you were found in a situation right now and you needed 20K urgently, how many people will you call that can come through for you and give you that 20K urgently in your circle, yeah? And I love the fact that you mentioned social capital, but then not so many people are extroverts. So is it about personality now that, you know, for example, if you narrow it down to the boy child, not so many men are so, I'd say, the more conversational, social, and outgoing and interactive as ladies, they can talk about, you know, they call it mehe. They can pick a conversation literally with anyone, and they end up being friends. But for us men, it's like you're either with your tribe of people who know you, understand you, other than you meet somebody, just a stranger. But here it happens for us men as well. You can meet someone on the street, you guys are talking, rhyming, but you don't even know their name anyways.
And you might not even take the number.
Yeah. And you might even be meeting at a joint weekly. Yeah. So interesting, by the way.
So in that situation, me, I always tell people, you will die alone if you want to stay alone. And even when you die alone, no one will know you are dead. So you stay. When you stay, you choose to stay with your problems. You will suffer with your problems. You will die with your problems.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's good, maybe you just try to see the environment and the people that you're trying to be open with. I don't agree that men don't open up, but men only open up to people that they trust. They understand that this person, and actually when you see a man opening up to you, don't take it for granted. Anakuanga amefika mwisho. And that's the only hope. So
maybe they're opening up about something dirty they did in the past. Nah, it's not necessary. But anyway, it's a good point. I'm not disputing it. But then when you look at it, if you have to survive as well right now in Nairobi without, let's say, a job right now, I don't know how your life is if you either don't have a job, a supportive family, or a community of people that are backing you up, or maybe running a business. Is it even possible to go through life in the city right now?
Yeah, it's possible to go through life in the city.
How?
The last time I received money from either my parents or someone just to support me, I can't remember, almost 7 years ago when I was still in the campus.
Okay, so how have you been surviving?
I have been surviving by making sure that deals hapa na pale, 1 2 and 2 and 2.
Is it deals sasa? Is it deals ndo zinafaa zisemwe?
So I've been surviving. I have just making sure that I actualize the skills that I have. You see, I'm an accountant. First, I'm a tax specialist at the same time. I have done CPA. So you just try to make sure you reach to the people, they connect you. Maybe there's a job here, you can do this and this. At the same time, I'm working somewhere. So I can't neglect
so for you,
the fact.
You can't say your situation is bad.
It's bad. At least, even if the payment is not there, there's 90,000, 100,000, you are sure of. If I take, if I tell you, Mr. Brian, can you give me 20,000? I know by the end of the month, I do what?
It's guaranteed.
Yeah, it's guaranteed. At the same time, that alone cannot sustain you in the city. you need a lot and a lot of
You need
opportunities.
other multiple sources of revenue,
You
actually.
go out, you meet different people.
This out that people go to is what we also need it
So
advertised.
for
that people should go there
like for the
and
NYEF,
get and meet these people.
for the NYEF, we meet different partners actually to donate something.
So where do you get these partners? You know, somebody would ask, hey bro, me life in an Ichapa bana. Where can I also go interact and be like you?
You know, you cannot get.
Please link me up, hook me up.
I cannot get partner as Mathew alone.
Yeah.
You know, I'm fixed into an organization, either an NGO or like, for example, the National Young Entrepreneurs Forum. I go out, I present my idea. You know, this poverty syndrome. Let me just try to tackle it. This poverty syndrome, whereby when a young person sees rich person, what is being activated in their mind is receiving. Okay. I need, give me, help me, sir, give me money. That's what kills trust from people to us as young people. But when you see a great man, a great person, think on how you can contribute to their idea. Yeah. If you have we have an idea on how to support young people, and I am going to meet someone who is an eligible financier for the idea that I have to show them how will they benefit from my idea. Yeah. As much as I will benefit more, but how will they get something out of it? But not all about opening
even though
hands.
You don't have money and you need it, and you know they can help you.
And
you're
actually,
broke,
I can
you've
tell
not
you,
eaten for several days.
True. we sometimes we go there.
Yeah.
You borrowed fare, maybe even if it's 200.
Yeah.
You have not eaten supper. You have not eaten breakfast, but you are going there with confidence. They tell you, can you do this? Accept it. Why are you refusing? Unasema ati life is not fair.
Any life ya boy child, ama pia ni ya girl child.
For the girl child, I cannot be the advocate maybe for now, but I understand it's a life for any youth.
But
because there's other young ladies
story.
who are very much confident with everything.
True story. I agree with you 100% because if you meet, let's say, the biggest CEO in town right now, the biggest conversation with them is how can they help you make progress in your forte so that you exit survival mode.
But at the same time, how will you contribute?
Will they benefit from you being on board in their circle? Nice, good one.
Because someone is risking their credibility to make sure that you
to believe in you and help you. But then being in survival mode, for me, I hate survival mode. I think it's the worst form of place in existence anyone can be. For example, like he mentioned, you have no guarantees literally in life. You're not sure if you're going to eat breakfast. You're not sure if you're going to have supper. You're not sure if you're going to sleep in that house. Maybe you might be kicked out. I think it's the worst place ever, you know. How can someone survive, you know, being in survival mode?
I believe it's a good insight, Brian, to that question that you've made, surviving in a survival mode. Good thing is I've been there, so I can relate, and I've also seen a number of my friends being there, so it's something that I can relate. Like, by virtue of I'm in this show here today, it means I did survive, and maybe that's why we can be able to share here. But even before I respond to the survival mode, before I respond maybe to the survival mode, there's a discussion that you've been having with Samuel, and you had that interjection that the youths of today, most of them, you profiled them to be introverts, and most of them preferring to be on closed doors with their phones and with their computers, and maybe it was more of an excuse that makes them not to network or to be in the social forums. But I'm that person who don't believe that in today's era, meeting in social places or physical places is the only way you can build social capital. The biggest social capital is here in this phone.
Online.
The truth is, out of the educated youths, 10 out of 10 youths, all of them, if they don't have a Facebook account, they're having an Instagram account, they're having a YouTube account, they're in WhatsApp. All these are platforms that have billions of users in them. And all these billions are possible buyers of the product you have, are possible users of the service that you render, are possible people to refer you to the opportunities that you need, are possible platforms for you to know another workshop or another event where you can network. And therefore, it's my urge that the youths, if there is the biggest space we can use, it is the online space whereby it is infinite. It's infinite. So the bigger danger that has made the youth to suffer is that what are they doing online? It's not that whether they are in online or not, they are, but what are they doing? What site do they go? What do they search? You talked about survival mode. I've been unemployed. There's a time I've not been employed. But for me, I didn't take it as an opportunity for me to despair and see that the world is ending. Because the moment I'm unemployed, I don't have work, I have one biggest resource, and it's time. Throughout the ages, we've been told that time is money. How do you convert that time to money? Use that survival mode that you have to learn new skill sets. Because you have all the time, you don't have an excuse. There are things that him and me cannot do today because we don't have the time because we are employed. But if we were not employed, we could have done. There's some potential we have, even in sports-wise, but we can never explore them because we don't have the time. But someone in survival mode is having that time. Some of the best readers
in survival mode, bro. How will you even concentrate
some of the
on
best
reading an article?
You see, some of the best books that we see online, some of the books that we read, some of the best writings that we have, most of them were written by people who are in survival mode because they had all the time to meditate and convert their wandering thoughts into the books. If you read about philosophy, a philosopher like René Descartes, one of the greatest philosophers, he stayed indoors for around 12 years because he was abandoned by the parents. And he used that time of solitude to build one of the best philosophies.
And write and whatnot.
Yeah, so as Samuel said, at a moment of survival mode, your options are so much limited. But of whatever is available, what can you do for it? And one of the practical reason is that time you are free, learn a new skill, volunteer somewhere. As he said, find the people who have, most of the people who have resources don't have ideas, and the people with ideas don't have the resources. You are on survival mode. You have ideas, but you don't have resources. Why don't you leverage the free time you have and knock on the possible people? He started talking about the rich people and the resourced people. Pitch your ideas to them. They will fund them if they see there is a possible return on investment or they are viable.
Maybe you just need a job to be able to survive for that season. But then you mentioned a business as well. Yeah. So how do you get out of that?
So the best way to get out of that is, number one, understanding this in the circumstance that you are and what relatable opportunities are where you are. Because one of the big dangers that the people face is that we tend to have ideas that are so big beyond where we are, or ideas so big beyond our capacity to execute. Let us think basic ideas. Let us think relatable ideas. Let us think, what do you have? That youth is on survival mode here. The truth is that they're a rural place. They have a big tract of land. And since he was born, he has seen his father plant maize until today. Why don't he try planting something different? Because same methods will always give same results. Okay. An idle land is lying somewhere. Okay. That youth who is here in the city, who is seeing that all the ends are failing. Maybe their parent is having a business, but they don't want to relate with them and learn skill sets from them. Okay. So let them look for relatable, practical skills.
Yeah. I'm trying to, maybe also survival mode is a little bit subjective, maybe. Let's say it depends with the person, because somebody would say, I only have 10K. I feel like I'm in survival mode. And another person would say, seen out at 10 bob, you know. So, yeah, so you would say it's subjective. But then when you compare between, let's say, the youth in Nairobi and the youth in Kakamega, the youth in Mombasa, the youth in Kisumu, who are, let's say, who are going through difficulty, if you were to compare, and I want you to sound off on the same as well, still on Stephen, if you were to compare the rate at which, let's say, there's lawlessness, joblessness, idleness that leads them to venture into other, I'll say, behaviors that are not, welcome by law or by society, and they end up, I think, was it yesterday or 2 days ago, there was a gang that I think invaded a certain political leaders, forum, and they were arrested. When they were speaking out on camera, they said, walipigiwa tu simu, turn up job, hata wajui boss ni nani. But yet, these are youth who are literally going there because they are assured they will be paid. So if you were to compare maybe Mombasa, Nairobi, Kakamega, who are the youth that you would say are most suffering? Like the suffering rate is way up there. Would you say Nairobi, Mombasa, Kisumu, or it depends if you are to put it into perspective?
For me, if I'm to put it into perspective, is that I feel that the challenges that the youth of Nairobi is facing, the challenge faced by the youth in Mombasa, in Kisumu, and in the ghetto are one and the same. These are people who have the equal measure of exposure. Most of them having grown through the Kibaki era, they were able to finish their secondary school. They have all the basic information. They are literate, they can write and read. But unfortunately, there are no opportunities. And even as we talk about the survival mode, let us not judge these youths harshly. That they are in despair, they cannot achieve things, or they are unemployed, they are in depression. Let's not judge them harshly. We should ask ourselves, how did we reach here? Because if you can know how we reached here, we can be able to handle the root cause of all the discussions we are having here. Because the youth in other countries or in second world countries or first world countries have better opportunities than the youths here. Here we are having many degree graduates jobless. In other countries, that is a skill being tapped on. Here, most of the first-class owners don't have jobs. In other countries, they are the same people who are being expatriated from here to render those services elsewhere because their systems are working and their bright minds are given opportunities. And therefore, even before we judge this, you see, me as a youth, if you judge me, I'm where I am because maybe I don't have an inheritance. I finished Form 5, I was not given any inheritance. I have a certificate, I'm disciplined. You've told me to be disciplined, I'm disciplined. You've told me to be educated, I'm educated. You've told me to go to church, I've gone to church and I've prayed.
Be hardworking.
I'm hardworking. But you don't give me an opportunity, I can never apply those chances, I become depressed. So it's also a wake-up call to the government agencies to streamline the systems that they can be able to favor their youths, because the youths, it's the backbone of any nation. If we lose the youths of today, we are creating the problems of tomorrow. Imagine someone who has got all the intelligence but has no opportunities. They'll be able to use, you talked about violence, you talked about the goons, you talked about extremism. They're the byproducts of having empowered youths but who don't have opportunities. It's a wake-up call to government to streamline the environment that it can become youth-friendly.
Yeah, so skills not utilized, they turn out to be misused. And I like the point that Stephen has raised. When you look at the rate at which unemployment is high in this country, he's mentioned the issue of graduates. Actually, that's a very true statement, because universities churn out millions annually. I can only imagine this year from graduations that we'll be witnessing and seeing from the University of Nairobi, KU, JKUAT, name them, all these prestigious universities, and all these people need opportunities. But then he's mentioned as well, the system is not favorable. But I also understand before you get any job, there's a bit of tarmacking. Actually, most graduates have a story of tarmacking. I was actually watching a TikTok, could have been 2 or 3 days ago, where this lady was giving a confession where she says that there's somebody who, I think she was confessing about somebody who had promised her a job, but they were asking for a favor from her before they get the job, yeah? So she thought, her beauty will literally land her the job, but, it didn't happen that way. So you can imagine how many of such stories are there that are not talked about. But then, like he mentioned, or you mentioned as well, you're a firstborn in your family. For you, you said you've not received any money from anyone in like 7 years. Imagine that period, you're tarmacking, trying to get an opportunity, and it's taking you longer. So what are you doing in between here to just stay mentally sane, emotionally stable, and keep it together? Because it can be really daunting to your mental and emotional well-being.
Okay, thank you. So just to correct there, I'm a 7th born in our family.
Oh, 7th born. Yeah.
And
okay.
There are others who are behind me again.
Yeah. Oh, so, okay. Right.
So let me tell you, when it's good to because we are here, and it's good to tell people like exactly what we did. Not telling them you just do this,
stay motivated,
yes, stay motivated, and
read
all those
books,
things.
work
so
hard.
Me, I was doing mjengo when I was still in campus.
Imagine, yeah. And you
so
survived.
You sit in.
Would you say you've made it?
I can't say I have made it, but I can say I'm
You made
better.
progress.
Yes,
Okay.
actually.
You made progress.
If I
Okay.
look where I was 5 years ago to where I am today, it's a different
You made
story,
progress.
actually.
Okay.
Because there's a time I was sitting in a Mabati house somewhere, and I realized that I have time, as he said. I have everything. Like I have time. Time is the only thing I have. I'm going to class, coming back, I have time.
Yeah.
When
What campus were you?
I was in Presbyterian University
Okay.
of East Africa. So
That's when you did the Mujengo that time.
yeah, I was doing Jengo.
In your first or second year or third?
That was second year actually, 2.1 now. Yeah, actually.
Any
I
life
remember.
ilikupiga tu kiingia
So
2.1.
ilinichapa tu nikiingia tu, so I was doing it like that. Unatoka mjengo, you still have the reflector, you go to the session, you go to the class. After the class you go, you maybe mazoezi kidogo pale na hapa, because he said you have time, like all those things. So I was doing like for almost for the whole of second year. Yeah. Now when during that time I was doing it, but at the same time you see, you are doing mjengo, but people in the mjengo even know that this person wanasema huyu jamaa ni ako university, huyu jamaa amesoma, msimuone hivyo, don't think he's a fool. So that one motivates you at the same time. So when it reached third year, now I shifted my mind. I told myself, no, I'm made for something bigger than this.
Right.
Because just to touch a bit, during that time when I was going to the Mjengo and coming back, I couldn't register in time. So, but I was learning. So it reaches time for you to do the exams. You have not yet cleared the school fees.
So you're left behind several semesters, yeah?
I was not left behind. And now this is where Ujanji comes in.
Oh, you
so
did
what I did,
okay.
I did some janjas which never,
which
never
worked or
sustained
didn't
it.
work?
It worked.
Okay.
Because I
Thank
tried
God.
to get a system on how to get an exam card and do the exams, but at the same time, I'm not in the system, I'm not registered.
So
when
how did
I'm
it
going
work
to
now?
claim the results, now they
that
tell
you
me
didn't sit for.
that I sat for the exams, but now you are not registered, you are not eligible to sit for exam. You,
in short, you're
you
not
never
in the
paid
system,
this. Yeah, you never paid the school fees.
Okay. So what happened?
I went to ask for exam for my results one day, because I was not having the I went with the exam card, and they told me they started to counter check now from A to Z, and they found that I tried to do some judges somewhere.
Infiltrating the system. IEBC.
And then I was suspended. Yeah, now I was suspended for like, I never faced the disciplinary, but the good thing is I was suspended for like 6 months.
So end of story, what happened?
End of the story, during that period of depression, of struggles and all those things, I developed an idea. I told myself, when I'm going back to the campus, I must be the leader. When I came back, that 2-3 months, I made sure I'm the Secretary General of Students Association, and I won the elections with greater margin. And that was the turnaround of my
So you came back beast mode and
powerful. Now
so did it come with help as well? Did you receive support for
I never received. Actually, I remember the money I used. I was some of the part of the money that I used for the campaign was from help. And the other amount of money, I went just...
you had help.
At that time, we had help. We had
how
help.
did you go to the Mjengo? I'm trying to help Mjengo.
That was the first help money that I was receiving, because I had appealed. I had applied first semester, second, third, fourth.
Yes.
There was no money. So I had appealed. Now they gave me some amount.
Okay, now you're a general secretary.
I'm the general secretary, and now I started now I started now to venture much into social capital, going, meeting different people, putting my idea. That's when we formed now the National Young Entrepreneurs under the Ministry of Youth Affairs. That time, Mababu Namambo was in the office. We went there, we plotted the idea, we drew everything. money, he gave us support, and all those things happened. So
Yeah.
things happen very fast. Now, ukikuwa
Right.
mjanja and your mind is very much open, things happen very fast. From
Funguka
there till
akili.
today, I can
And,
say
and here you
everything has
are on
been unfolding.
television,
Yeah,
Bana,
true.
on
Things are
national
unfolding.
TV.
Yeah.
A very inspiring story. I wish everybody would learn from that. Stephen, not so many people will literally do what he did. He says he was doing a mjengo to get through, his campus life. Well, still there was help, but it was not enough. The exams were there. He couldn't manage to register. But look, came back best mode, beat all the odds, and look, he's here on television. A great, inspiring story, impressive. What do you think? Maybe Gen Zs lack the art of trying to be innovative and just look around you and find ways of getting out of your shell. There's somebody who said, smile, you don't own all the problems in the whole entire world. It's just a bad day, it's not a bad life. Somebody has just died, it doesn't mean it's the end of your destiny. There's always life thereafter. Do you believe that?
Yeah, you're right that the Gen Zs, there's a point that we tend to feel that the system should just serve us, or we feel like we've done our part, it's the world to do its part to us, or the world is entitled to us, and that's a wrong narrative. I agree with him that 1 is an odd number, and you have to be odd to be number 1. So the youths of today must know that they have to go beyond the ordinary to achieve the extraordinary. And that's why, and that calls for them to be adaptable to the opportunities that are available. He talks about him being a graduate, but he is there wearing a reflector jacket, working on a construction site. Equally, I remember when I was in college, I studied at Multimedia University of Kenya. They say it's the only university in Kenya not named after a dead person or a place.
Yeah.
You see, at that Multimedia University of Kenya, when I was around second year, third year, I remember one time working as an hotel attendant.
Chafu?
No, it was outside the school.
Okay.
I was at the school. I was there serving as a waiter. Sometimes I could do the cleaning, and I'm being paid because
And you're getting something.
I want to survive. I'm on holiday. For me, I know holiday is not a time to go at home and rest because I won't have money to sustain myself when the semester opens.
So unasaidia mzazi kulima shamba na kuchunga ng'ombe.
Yeah, so that time they were in the village, and there's that rule that
Yeah.
you should not leave the city to go to the village.
Right. By the way, it's a thing. Is it bad luck or what?
No, not
Ukitoka
really.
city urudi ushago, your destiny is done.
Yeah, because you are taken to a world of exposure.
Oh,
If you go back, you should show those people in the village the exposure you've learned. But if you go back and do the same things they are doing, you'll discourage many other kids not to work hard like you because they know their fate is to go back to the
So
village.
you better stay in the city. You better stay in the city.
You
So
better suffer and survive in the city.
Oh, you better suffer and survive.
Usiseme usikue kama ule.
Yeah.
Oh, so that was to me come example.
Yeah, so that you don't become an
A
example.
bad example, not just an example, a bad example.
Yeah, a bad example.
Okay.
But now you find that the youths of today, especially maybe the ladies, they cannot go an extraordinary, maybe as I did, to go there and work as an hotel whereby you're doing the cleaning. Maybe the youths of today, some of them may not go to the construction site kukua mtu wa mkono ama kukua fundi because they feel that these blue collar jobs are never meant for them because they are under a white collar system.
Oh, they have nails. I can imagine a beautiful lady who has their long acrylic nails. Aosha vyombo kwa hiyo sink, sio ni, it's a whole Netflix show.
Yeah, yes, for
Probably
sure.
she should just sit, she should do TikToks, dance, and people send her gifts, and she's earning,
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know how many dudes would do that. But yeah, we are seeing TikTokers dance on TikTok. Even gents, they're making money out of their looks. Yeah, who said it's only women who make money out of their looks? Yeah, there's so many men who are modeling. It used to never be a thing, but now it's a big thing. People are being paid for their looks. Just looking good, you turn up and $500, boom, deposited in your account for being present.
Yeah.
Life has changed.
Actually, that's what we are saying. If that one can work for you, go for it. Don't look like people will say what or as long as it's a good thing, an eligible thing for you, go for it. Do it with all your heart. Do it with your passion. If studies works for you, go study, degree, PhD, and all of those things. Don't discourage those ones.
What
that
about
are
starting a
hustling.
business? Because
If business works for you, don't discourage those ones that are hustling. Yeah. So it depends with where you are. Just do your thing, grind it with all your power, because there's no joy in suffering. There's no joy in being a poor person. There's no degree of the most stressed person in this world.
Yeah.
So if you decide to choose your life and try to make it, just make sure that you don't get yourself into struggles and financial constraints and all those things. Just do it with all
There's
your
the
heart.
issue of self-sabotaging, where maybe it could also, I believe this is deep because it can come from a place of trauma, a place of parental inadequacy, where maybe you were never loved as a child, or maybe you grew up in an abusive home. So each and every opportunity you get, you always squander it because there's some underlying issues of being abused, neglected. So you destroy the opportunity so that maybe the people back then suffer, or to end up again still in misery and pain. So it's a chain that keeps on being ferried over.
Yeah, I understand there's such kind of the people. But I believe that can only happen to the people who have the good fathers. Yeah? You are taken to the job, but it's like you don't want that job, so you decide unaharibu kazi so that you can go to. Let me tell you, if you think your job is stressful, try unemployment. Yeah. The moment you are unemployed for that period of time, that's when you realize that your job, no matter how stressful is it is very much important. It gives you an exposure to go out and all those things. Number two, the life that you're living, it's yours. Whether your parents are rich, you have all kind of inheritance. They'll reach a time whereby they will not be there. Now you will be there, and there's another generation that is looking for you, looking up to you. So you will need to leave something for them. It will be very much shame for you to receive something from your fathers and your parents, and you are leaving nothing for them. Yeah? That's another kind of mystery of struggle and all those things. Then just to finish up on this point is that no matter where you are, whether you are in Kisumu, Kakamega, Nairobi and all those things, you can flourish in the city, you can flourish in the village. If you are meant to flourish in the city, if you are in the village, you will not do anything. And if you are meant to flourish in the village, whether you come here in the city, you just need to go back and do the same.
Is this the work of the gods?
That's what Deuteronomy tells us. That's what Deuteronomy tells us.
What will prevent you from flourishing in the city and make you flourish in Kakamega and the interior?
It's just the...
Is it environment, opportunities, or the gods?
Yeah, it's all about environment opportunities and the situations that are there. Okay. The environment, the basic environment that gives you the platform now to exercise the idea that you have. It depends with the people that are around you. Yeah, you are surrounded with goons. You are surrounded with the hatred. You are surrounded with
even
the people
your friends. Your friends themselves are not sensible people.
They don't want you to go anywhere. You are surrounded with all kinds of.
Is it possible to have friends who don't want you to go anywhere?
It's very much possible. In
How?
fact, now,
like, are they sabotaging you, shooting you, or bewitching you, or they are good on your face, but in private they are cursing you?
They do all those things for you. They just to make sure that you go down, even if it is to poison you. Just to make sure that so be very much keen. And one of the basic thing is to make sure that you are in holy of holies of someone's heart. That's the only thing that you can have in this world.
Right. Stephen, just to close this conversation, actually, we have like 3 minutes before we exit. Do you believe like boy child wanahitaji mtu wa kuwashika mkono? Most stories ni actually, I'm pretty sure if he had somebody to hold his hand, time alikuwa anafanya mjengo, things would have been a little bit better and seamless, and he would have enjoyed that stint without suffering. And if you've been very keen, he's preaching vehemently about there's no joy, there's no reward, there's no recognition in suffering. Yeah. So do you believe maboy child wengi hawana mtu wa kuwashika mkono from a young age, especially those who are, say, futuristic, those who are innovative, those who have a vision and a goal? Yeah. Maybe there are so many obstacles that you have to go through before you become successful as a boy child. Yeah.
Yes, I believe that the boy child has always been systemically been disadvantaged for a long time, especially in the 21st century.
Right.
Because remember, even right from the education, our minds were conditioned in high school that we should favor the female empowerment. Read about the river and the source, it will tell you about the likes of Akoko. Read about the set books that the students are learning today, it's about the female empowerment. And therefore the world, I agree, even as a man, I always grow thinking that my duty is to empower a woman, because that's what my mind has been conditioned. But you find that in the world of today, the youth has ended up suffering more. That's what unasikia, boy child ni kujituma. Because today, a domestic violence, when a man is involved in domestic violence, the whole world stops to concentrate on that single incident. But when a man is disadvantaged in a failed marriage system or domestic violence, the world says it's a shame that you are being defeated by a woman. And therefore, I feel it's
You didn't make your marriage work.
Or you didn't make,
failed.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
If you saw Andrew Kibe's statements, you failed marriage, you failed radio career, you failed TikTok, YouTube. You know,
Yeah.
so in short, he's being blamed.
Yeah, you become victimized.
Yeah.
Ask Samuel here. If he was a lady, a secretary general, by now he will be a PS.
You believe he'll be a PS?
By now he will be a PS.
In what ministry?
I don't know the
Agriculture or education?
It's a true story. Or a nominated MCA. Or a nominated MCA.
Or a nominated senator,
And
right?
It's a true fact. If he was a secretary general.
But this is a light joke, by the way.
No.
Not to be shady with the ladies.
It's on a light note. But if we have a focused man and a focused lady, the world will tend to embrace this focused lady more than the focused man. It's high time we go back to the drawing board and let's judge the boy child as we judge the girl child. And for long, the empowerment of the female has really worked over the years, but in the end, the equity they sought to achieve has ended up making the boy child lag behind. And it's high time now we have set books that elevate the boy child
and switch the
so
narrative.
that we leverage.
Okay, so Steve, we have to go. Great, powerful insights. We have to exit. So, say many social media in 2 seconds. You are moja tu tafadhali because you're out of time. Yeah.
The good thing is, all my social media, Mathew K. Samuel.
So, Mathew K. Samuel, I'm sure that you've checked him out. What about
My
yours?
social media, Facebook, search Ndemo Steven, Captain 001. We can interact more.
So, thank you, gentlemen. This has been a riveting conversation. I enjoyed it. I loved it. And I know people back at home as well loved it too. Thank you so much. I've been speaking to Stephen Ndemo Jr. He's a youth mentor and a public speaker, alongside Mathew Samuel, a chairperson at NYEF and an entrepreneur as well. Ensure that you check them out. So, check us out tomorrow again from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I and my co-host Stephanie Ayeta and at Brand Sakwano 1 at Y254 channel. Eid Mubarak to everybody who identifies as Muslim. So, Pilau tafadhali, weke today lunch. So, see you tomorrow bright and early.